There are tons of new collections at Spellbinders this month designed by a whole bunch of your favorite designers like Vicky Papaioannou, Simon Hurley, and Frank Garcia. I have some of all these collections, so I wanted to kind of share a smattering of each of them so you can see what's out there, what's new, and what you might want to add to your stash. Let's dive right in, and I'll take one collection at a time. Let's start with Simon's Cascading Coneflowers collection. There's a die set of 3 different flowers. There's also a big sentiment set with 3 different sentiments. There's also an embossing folder with cascading dots. And there's a stencil as well that coordinates with that embossing folder. For this first card, I cut a piece of white cardstock down to 4 by 5 1/4 and used it with the embossing folder. I love the look of white embossed cardstock. It's very subtle, but even with this one, you can see how much texture it adds to the background without overpowering the image. So I popped up a couple of the flowers, and that white cardstock was matted onto some Spellbinders poppy cardstock. Then I have the thank you sentiment dies. I cut the words out of gold cardstock and the shadows out of vellum, and then put a little liquid adhesive behind them so that you wouldn't be able to see the adhesive from the front. I absolutely love how the sentiments look like they're floating above the flowers. For this next card, I wanted to use the Cascading Coneflowers collection again. I have a white piece of cardstock once again that I did cut down this time to 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm placing it on a waffle flower grip mat so that then I can place the stencil on top of the coordinating area of that embossed panel. And then I'll use some Distress Oxide ink. This time I have Wilted Violet to start out with, and I'm using as soft as a hand as I can. The other color here is the Seedless Preserves, and I went a little bit darker there and kind of blended that together with the Wilted Violet. And if you look to the left and a little bit down at the bottom of the screen, you can see the flower that I'm using. So these colors coordinate with that. I decided to still cut this down to 4 by 5 1/4 and matted it on some Spellbinders cardstock as well. Popped up one of the flowers to the left-hand side of the card. I cut the happy birthday words out of white cardstock and the shadows out of black cardstock, and it gives such a bold look next to that really bold flower. So love the way these all work together so well. Next, let's take a look at Frank's new collection with Spellbinders. It's called Buttons and Keepsakes. It's a really beautiful, vintage inspired, also vintage fashion, vintage images. It's absolutely beautiful. This 3D embossing folder is the Buttons embossing folder, and the Keepsake swans are the die set that I'm using on this card. I love using this collection with some lighter colors. There are also some Better Press inks that were released that go along with this collection, and there's a pack of cardstock that you can get. I'll link all of those in the YouTube description box, even though I don't have them right now, but the colors are probably of cardstock are probably some of the colors that I used here to create this card. So much fun because it's just a totally different look. Next, I started with a tag that I cut out with the Spellbinders tag punch, and then I have the other embossing folder, which is the ribbons embossing folder, and placed that on a rectangle of seaside cardstock. And then you can see I have a dress form that I created. It's a die set that creates this dress and dress form. Place that on some foam squares and pop that up on the tag. And then one of the sentiments are a 1-pass press and foil plate sentiment and a 1-pass die. So really easy. There's also a large press plate that's bigger than A2, and that's that background. I'll show you that in just a moment. I did decide to add some tulle that is not part of the collection, but it just kind of goes so well with this, and I loved the light blue with that seaside cardstock that I added here. I did a lot of pinks and peach with the swans, and I wanted to have little pops here. So little pop of blue as well as the black, which is again a nice vintage look still, even though it is in different color combination. I trimmed that little bow down at the top of my tag. I just wanted it because it added so much fluff and texture to it. You can fluff up a tulle bow so easily. This is the Atelier Vintage Press and Foil plate, and I foiled it with some pastel foil from Spellbinders, which I'll also link down below. I know that this is kind of a different collection for me and what I normally use, but I absolutely adored every piece of this collection. I thought it was so well done and just creates, again, a different look of elegant cards. Now let's take a look at Vicky's collection. It's called Whimsical Village. Here are the whimsical flowers. You can see that they are layered dies. They're so easy to put together. So there's stems, there's flowers, and I added a few pearls and gems to mine, but you don't have to do that. These are so much fun just as they are. Cutting them out of a couple of different colors of cardstock really gives you a fun, bright look to these flowers. So here's all the flowers that you can create with that flower die set. There are two other die sets in this collection, the Whimsical Houses and the Village Companions. The Village Companions are the clouds, moon, sun, dog, and cat, and obviously the houses are the houses. The houses right now are out of stock, but please just click the notification button. Spellbinders has been really great about getting these back in stock. There's also a 3D embossing folder that you can see in the background there. So the way that these come together is that the flowers are extra tall, and some of the houses are almost as tall as the flowers, but some are much smaller. And it gives that whimsical look of a storybook or of just little creatures that are living in the forest in these tiny little houses underneath the flowers. It's such a fun look, and it can be such a colorful card, which of course is what I love about this collection, that you can really play with color on your card. Of course, on the first card, I had to add the little dog. So absolutely adorable. These sentiments, all the stamps, are basically in a straight line, so you can cut them all down to sentiment strips, making it really easy to add them to little spots on the card to add a happy hello here. So I adore this collection. I know that the houses and the whole bundle will be back really soon, so please just click to that notification and grab them as soon as they come back in. They are just so fun to create. I decided to use the 3D emboss folder with a darker color of cardstock to kind of create a night scene, and the colors that the flowers and the houses are just really pop off that darker background. So, it's really nice to have a blue sky sunny day, but these elements look so cool on a darker background as well, especially if you've chosen sort of lighter, brighter colors. They just absolutely pop. And as I said, I added some gems to one of the flowers, some pearls to the other, and this time I decided to add the little cat. I also have a cloud left over from what I cut out in the beginning, as well as the moon. I wanted to use the moon because it's so cute. It's got little embossed design on it as well. And then another one of the clear stamps to make this sentiment strip to create this card. It says, "Home is where your heart is." Absolutely love the sentiments. They are very heartfelt as well. I hope you enjoyed that review of all these new Spellbinders collections. I love how there's elements or designs or themes or looks for everyone. That is what is so great about having all of these different, very talented designers create with Spellbinders. I'd love to hear if you have any favorites this month. Let me know in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon.